004. That is the phone-in number. We also have a special text line. Charles, I bet you didn't even know this. Because you and I haven't worked together. Charles and I, we always miss each other because Charles sometimes gets assigned Fridays, and he gets assigned Fridays when I decide to take off on Fridays. So he probably at this point, yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I said at some point Charles is going to start thinking I just don't want to work with him, but Fridays is, it's the day. If you're gonna take a day, it's gonna be on a Friday. So it's just been bad luck that we haven't. No, come on. I work with Austin. I work with Justin as well. So yeah, really. I mean, come on, Brian. Get better. He tripped over a baby gate. I mean, come on. Let's hold on here. Now, see, I wasn't even gonna bring this up tonight, but now that Charles brought this up, Charles like, get better, Brian. I get a text from Brian at like 4:00 today saying, I'm not gonna be able to do the show tonight. I tripped over a baby gate and it feels like I got shot in the back. I'm like, come on, man, really? I mean, you gotta play hurt sometimes. I mean, unless he literally fell down a flight of stairs, he should be here tonight. That's it. He should be here. That's it. I'm calling you out, Brian. You should have been here tonight. It's a Monday. We got a lot to catch up on, and you're not here. So instead, Charles and I are gonna hold it down, and you might get Wally pipped. You might get Wally pipped. Yeah, Charles does a really good job. Brian might be the last time you ever heard from Brian on this show. That's just the way it goes. That's what happened to Lou Gehrig. Wally Pipp was the Yankees' first baseman. Lou Gehrig filled in for a game, and he wound up playing like 10 years straight. Didn't miss a single game. Got the nickname the Iron Man. See? There you go. How funny is that? Can't make it up. By the way, Jacob deGrom is hurt. Oh, my goodness! Jacob deGrom is hurt? I can't believe it could possibly be the case.
Damn you!
Yeah. Jacob deGrom is hurt, and water is wet.
Damn you all to hell!
Yeah, I'm telling you. That's what Ranger fans are saying right now. Jacob deGrom. You could just set your watch by it. Anthony Davis is going to get hurt. Jacob deGrom is going to get hurt. Zion Williamson's going to suffer a hamstring injury and miss 3 months. You just set your watch by it. This is sports. It really is. By the way, so just to kind of update you as to where we are as we come on the air tonight. Brooklyn down 2-0 now. They lose in Philly. Not a surprise. We told you that last week on the show. That wasn't going to be much of a series. I think anybody could have told you that. 96-84 was the final score of that game. So, and look, this was the game. If you were going to get a game, tonight was the game you were going to get for the Nets. If I told you as a Brooklyn fan that Philadelphia was going to score 96 points in game 2, and you're Jacques Vaughn, you would say, oh, yeah, we would have won that game. Well, you did. You still couldn't win. You got to play your style of game. You got to play the game the way you wanted it, and you still couldn't win. That series is over. If it goes 5, I'd be shocked. Nice season for Jacques Vaughn to even get this team into the playoffs, to even get him to 45 wins with everything he's had to endure, but it's over. And Brooklyn will now start the process of rebuilding. I don't care what happens the rest of the series. The season's done. I got to say, I haven't had a chance to watch a ton of Joel Embiid this year. And I know that sounds weird to a lot of y'all. But the reality is, see, I did it again. I dropped a y'all again, Charles. Yeah, see, now I'm just going to drop it all night. I'm feeling it now. I'm on fire. I am. Well, they love me in Austin. And I love them on the horn. So that's cool. And we're on in Dallas and we're on in Houston. So why not? I'll drop a little y'all once in a while. So tonight for Embiid, he had 20 and 19 with 7 assists, and he only took 11 shots. And virtually every time he had the ball, he was doubled. And again, this sounds weird to say. I don't get to see a lot of him during the season because the games are early at 4 o'clock, and that's kind of my prep window for the show. Now, obviously, it's the playoffs, so I'm watching the games while I'm prepping for the show in the 3-hour window where I'm prepping for the show. But my God, the Nets said tonight, we are going to take Embiid away. And he still put up 20. He still had 19, and he still had several key assists. And the reality is you can double him, but he's such a large individual and so tall, he can see over the top of the double team, and he can make the pass that he needs to make. So there's no way for the Nets just don't have an answer for him. It's as simple as that. They don't have anybody that can offer up any assistance. Royce O'Neal, sorry, you got no chance. So at the end of the day, the Nets, this series is done because they have nobody that can play with Embiid. So the Nets are only playing 8 guys. I mean, it's kind of tough when you get to the postseason. I know you narrow your rotations down, but they're playing 8 guys, and one of those guys only played 13 minutes. So the Nets just had no chance in this series. This was the worst possible matchup that they could have gotten in the first round was Philadelphia. So that series is done. 96-84. Philadelphia gets the win tonight. So that's what we got going on as far as the NBA is concerned. Now, the late game is the one, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I wish I could have just taken the night off tonight because Golden State and Sacramento is like must-see TV. I would just kill to be watching that series right now. Game 1 in Sacramento was terrific on Saturday. Watching these two teams go toe-to-toe. I think it's going to be a long series. But I will say this. I picked Sacramento to win the series. And, I gave a relatively lean rationale for why that is. And it's simply put, the regular season has to mean something. The regular season has to matter. And if you could tell me that, the Warriors can basically sleepwalk through an entire season and basically go 9-30 on the road. I'm not giving them credit for the last 2 wins because they were playing 2 cupcakes that had mailed it in. So you're basically talking about a Warriors team that went 9-30 on the road this year. 9-30. And even if you want to give them credit for the last 2 wins, 11-30 is laughable. No team should be in the NBA postseason going 11-30 on the road. And yeah, you could say, well, they only had 4 less losses than Sacramento. But Golden State was not a good basketball team this year at 44-38. They were terrible on the defensive end. They were incredibly streaky, very undisciplined at times for a Golden State Warriors team. And I have to think that a regular season where Sacramento in a competitive Western Conference was a top 3 team all season long, that has to count for something. And just because, the national pundits and the analysts didn't get a chance to watch this team because they weren't on ESPN and they weren't on TNT. So you didn't get to see them all year. So you don't even know who they are. So you got guys making predictions on this series, and all they say is, well, everybody says, the Kings' defense isn't very good. They can't stop anybody. And the Warriors, they've won all these championships. Oh, well, but what about the fact they went 44-38 and they were 9-30 on the road? I mean, doesn't that mean something? That has to mean something. And I get it. Playoff basketball is a different intensity. It's a different level. It's a different type of game. I can totally appreciate that. But at the end of the day, I took Sacramento to win the series because their body of work through 82 regular season games was more impressive. And that ain't by accident. They were never out of basically the top 3 all year in the West. You had the Warriors at times struggling just to make the play-in tournament before finally settling into the 6th spot. So I still like Sacramento, but I do think it's going to be a long, grueling series. So we'll keep an eye on that tonight. There's hockey playoff action going on. I'm going to update you on that, so stay tuned. And big news from the NFL. We're going to talk about that in this hour, too. I'm Jason Page, the Cash In, just getting started on SportsMap Radio. Charles, what's your last name? Carter. That's easy to remember. Charles Carter. Oh, throw it down! Throw it down! Throw it down!
Two early turnovers for the Warriors, keep in mind 15 turnovers in their last game, resulted in 16 points, and now the habit of being loose with the basketball. Thompson, bullseye, it's a three. And when you do that, you eliminate those turnovers that are not caused by the defense. You get more shots at the rim.
Jesus. Ball went halfway down again. 2 shots that went halfway down. Throw it down. Continuing on this Friday edition of the show, and always happy to bring in our friend Bob Nightingale. Does a great job with you. Send it in, Jerome. I'll learn how to spell Page. Come on. This ain't no amateur hour. Let's go. Hey, do me a favor, if you haven't done so already, retweet on the SportsMap Radio page my my link to the show. All right, cool. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Tomorrow night on the show, Robin Lundberg makes his debut on the show. Former ESPN radio personality, now with SI, does a great job on all things NBA. Robin Lundberg will be on the show tomorrow night. So we'll get some thoughts. And former colleague of mine, too. We used to work together over at ESPN Radio New York. So looking forward to hanging out with him on the show tomorrow night. We'll give you updates throughout the night and give you as much analysis as I can provide trying to watch the game while hosting a talk show between the Warriors and the Kings. Warriors up in the early going 5-4. Wow. That was a rather thunderous dunk just thrown down by Harrison Barnes. It's just great seeing the atmosphere in Sacramento. It really is. I mean, that place has been starved for a winning team for so long. And they've got a group that's going to be good for a while. This isn't some flash in the pan, lucky season sort of thing. They're going to be good. They're going to be good for a while. So it's exciting to see what's going on. They just got a couple of breakaway dunks on their last 2 possessions. So Sacramento 8. Golden State 5, 8:10 to go, first quarter, and take the over, whatever it is. because neither of these teams play all that much defense. Right now, the total is set at 232.5. My hunch is it'll go higher. Give it time. If you could get it at 232.5 right now, my suggestion would be take it. Because these two teams are just gonna light up the scoreboard. They might break the scoreboard. I don't know if they're gonna be able to keep up with it for 4 quarters tonight. Oh yeah. Oh, it's the exact opposite of the game that was just on before it. I mean, between the Nets and Sixers, they were struggling to get to 90 tonight. It was like first to 90 wins. And tonight, this game might be first to 120 wins. It's 232.5. I'll tell you right now, just take the over. I don't care. I don't care what the scoreboard says. Just over. Now it's 231.5. I'd still take it. Over. That is an official cash in with Jason Page prediction. Just go over. Thank you. 231.5. Now it's 233.5, and it'll probably go over that too. Just lots and lots of points, unless something crazy happens. Because I think what was the last game? 124, 123, something like that. And so it was over 240. But it's going to be like that. I mean, that's that. Look, the way Draymond Green is hitting threes. I mean, he's wide open. He has to take it. I'm telling you, just keep banging the over. Up till about 240, I'm comfortable with it. Maybe 235, but I think this game goes as high as 240 plus when all is said and done. So we'll keep you posted on that. That's not the only playoff action tonight, though. I have an obligation as the host of a nationally syndicated nightly sports talk show that's on all over the country to tell you there is playoff hockey tonight as well. Carolina took care of business in Game 1. Beat the Islanders, who just barely got into the playoffs, 2-1 tonight. So they're up 1-0 in that series. Minnesota and Dallas right now, late first period, they are scoreless. And Boston, with probably more pressure than any NHL team has had, say, in the last 50 years. I mean, think of how long has it been since Montreal did what it did? Was it the 60s? I forget, 60s or 70s, since Montreal had its record-breaking regular season. I mean, you have to say, there is no... In fact, I'll even go a step further. I don't think there is a team in all of professional sports right now with more pressure to win a major league championship than the Boston Bruins, given where they've been this regular season and the historic numbers that they put up during this regular season. Nobody has more pressure on them right now than the Boston Bruins. Lead the Panthers right now 3-1, under 2 to go in the third period. That game over on ESPN. So we'll keep you up to date on that. And then the late game getting started in just moments is Los Angeles and Edmonton. Kings surprised everybody when they traded away Jonathan Quick earlier this year, around the trade deadline. Pride of Connecticut, my home state. So L.A. and Edmonton tonight, that getting started in just moments. They are at a timeout in the Warriors and Sacramento game in Sacktown, with the Warriors leading that game 12-8. We will be joined by Nick Ferguson coming up in 10 minutes. He, the former NFL safety, a regular on this show, host of the Touchdown Denver podcast, and just a good guy, friend of the show. Not just friend of the show, friend of mine. Nick Ferguson will be on the program tonight. There is big news from the NFL today. Jalen Hurts is not going anywhere. He will be in Philadelphia for a long time. He even got a no trade, a fully guaranteed deal. Well, not a fully guaranteed deal, a mostly guaranteed deal with a no trade clause. But the fact that even his deal was not fully guaranteed should be the final nail in the coffin of Lamar Jackson thinking, I deserve a fully guaranteed deal because Deshaun Watson got a fully guaranteed deal. Well, guess what? Nobody since Deshaun Watson has gotten a fully guaranteed deal. So if you're going to cry that this is what the market is bearing and this is a fair market deal because this is what the NFL quarterback market is, well, that day is gone because nobody is getting fully guaranteed deals as quarterbacks. Not even the guy who ran his team into the Super Bowl this year and was 2 quarters away from winning that Super Bowl this year, something that Lamar Jackson hasn't even sniffed. He's won more games than Lamar Jackson in one postseason than Lamar's won in his first 5 or 6 in the league. So I don't want to hear about Lamar Jackson getting a fully guaranteed deal. It's not happening. Sign your non-exclusive tender. It's done. It's done. It's over. You got Odell Beckham Jr. to pair up with Mark Andrews. Go get ready for the season and fight this fight again next year if you have a monster season. Once again, you get a do-over on betting on yourself if you're Lamar Jackson. Not too many people get a do-over. That is the one good thing, I guess you could say, about the franchise tag. Even in this case, the non-exclusive franchise tag, is that if you are Lamar Jackson, you get an opportunity to bet on yourself a second time. And you're going to get like $35 million for your troubles of not being able to get your long-term deal this year. You're going to get $35 million guaranteed. So if I'm Lamar Jackson right now, I start gearing up for part 2 of betting on myself. And now you've got a better receiver to pair along with you. Bury the hatchet, go in there, say whatever you got to say, go and kill it this season if you're Lamar Jackson. And next year, guess what? Next offseason, you're in position to get whatever you want. Even if it's not fully guaranteed, you might still get a monster deal, whether with the Ravens or with somebody else. So Jalen Hurts got a $255 million extension, including $179 million of that fully guaranteed. And he got a no trade clause. That's according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. And that Hurts deal is the biggest contract average annual value-wise in NFL history. Now, wait 5 minutes, that is likely to change. Something will happen, and in a year from now, somebody else will have that distinction. It's just, the way it goes. And not only is he getting that monster deal, but it's actually for the next 3 years a very team-friendly deal in terms of the cap. His salary cap numbers for the next 4 years are $6.15 million, $13.5 million, $21.7 million, and $31.7 million in 2026. So the next 3 years are 6.15, 13.56, and 21.77, which means for the next 3 years, their window is wide open to continue being a dominant football team. And that's important. And then after 3 years, you could renegotiate it again and make it work in such a way so that you push down that money later down the line. That's what quarterbacks who want to win do. That's what Tom Brady did forever in New England. Tom Brady was never the highest paid quarterback when he should have been. He never got the fair market value he should have until he got to Tampa Bay. When he finally said, all right, now I want my bag. You want me to come play in Tampa Bay? I want my bag. Hurts now is getting his bag. And by the way, he had a great agent to negotiate the deal. Something else Lamar Jackson hasn't had in this entire process and which has hurt him. So I don't want to hear about Lamar Jackson and what did you get? And what other teams are giving other quarterbacks? I want mine. Go out there and do it yourself this year. You have an opportunity to do so. Bet on yourself. Go get your deal. I know Nick Ferguson's probably going to inevitably disagree with me, but he's coming up on the other side and we're going to talk about it. We're coming back with Nick Ferguson. Talk some NFL. We'll update you on the basketball too. It's the Cash In with me, Jason Page, on SportsMap Radio. I take care of it. I do the whole thing on my end. Yep. And you only got to give me a 20 and 10. I don't need a 15 and a 5. The less voices in my head, the better. Because I got enough voices in my head. They're the crazy ones that like talk to you and shit. Mental illness. Mental illness is a fun thing. Hey Jason, so let's say if the Warriors win over the Kings and Did you say Avatar? No. No interest in Avatar. Nope. I watched the first episode of season 3 of The Mandalorian last night, though, which was really good. I've seen the first 2 seasons. Yeah. I love that show. Let's talk about cinematic. I'll watch the Star Wars stuff all day. I love the Star Wars universe. I wouldn't say they were all horrible. I mean, nothing beats the original 3, but I wouldn't say they're horrible. It's a little harsh. I look like I'm wearing a tablecloth tonight. This is terrible. What the hell am I wearing? Good to be with you all tonight. I don't know why I keep saying y'all, but just am. Keeping an eye on the playoff basketball, the playoff hockey, and, of course, the big news headlines in the NFL. And today that includes Jalen Hurts getting his bag. Yes, he did. $255 million, $179.3 million of it guaranteed over 5 years, the highest average annual value in the NFL. If you were just listening in the last segment, you heard my message to Lamar Jackson. Stop whining about your money. You're not getting a fully guaranteed deal. Get your butt into camp. You're not getting a fully guaranteed contract. Go and kill it this year, and you'll get your money next year. That's it. Simple as that. It's over. Let's stop talking about Deshaun Watson's deal. There's been a million quarterback deals since then now, and ain't nobody getting fully guaranteed contracts. So it's over. That's it. It's done. Nick Ferguson is our guest, former NFL safety, Touchdown Denver podcast. We've talked so much about Lamar Jackson getting his bag that we forgot about Jalen Hurts getting his, and now he's getting his $255 million extension for 5 years. What did you think when you saw the deal?
Well, I loved everything about the deal. And when we were having our conversations about Lamar Jackson and whether he was going to get his bag from Baltimore or any other team in the NFL for that matter, I thought immediately of Jalen Hurts. I thought about Justin Herbert. and Joe Burrow. All of these guys are just watching to see how this thing unfolded as far as Lamar. And I think Lamar's camp was looking to see what was going to happen first. Which one of those other teams were going to decide to make one of their players, one of the highest paid players in the league. And it's funny that you talk about the APY for Jalen Hurts. When you think about a guy who had 10 rushing touchdowns and 100 passing rating, I mean, that's extraordinary, especially for a guy who was criticized and ostracized coming out of Oklahoma. And oh, by the way, yes, Jay Page, he was a starter at the Alabama Crimson Tide until Tua came along. So there was a lot of questions about whether Jalen can be really consistent. He answered those questions. And once again, he outdueled Pat Mahomes, right? He out-Pat Mahomes, because if the Eagles win that Super Bowl and that defense can communicate, if the defense can communicate, I'm just 1 + 1 = 2, Jalen Hurts is the MVP of that Super Bowl, is he not?
Yes, he is. He would have been the MVP of the Super Bowl.
Right. So the money that Howard Roseman decided to bestow upon Jalen Hurts, it was well deserved. And Jeffrey Lurie realized, hey, man, it's tougher in this league just to kind of win football games, even tougher when you are indecisive at the quarterback position. So it's like, you know what? Let's go ahead and push our ship to the table and make this guy one of the highest paid guys as far as average salary per year.
Do you think there's something to be said? Do you think that the Chiefs in that Super Bowl, particularly in the second half? And look, I get that it's the very last game of the season, and you've got another 8 months before we're even playing games that matter again. Do you think the league and teams around the league who all study film, is there something they can take away from that game and that experience that now the Eagles have to kind of figure out a different way? Because, I mean, let's be honest, Kansas City was not a great defensive football team last year, and they were able to shut down that Eagles offense in the second half. And they only gave up like 7 points in the second half, I think it was. So do you think that there's something to be said for Philadelphia kind of having to, maybe figure out a different formula or strategy this year, considering what Kansas City was able to sort of unlock in the second half and being able to stop them?
Yeah, because to me, it's really simple being a defensive player. It was getting your guys in the secondary on the same page. You look at two of the touchdowns that the Kansas City Chiefs scores, it was based on bad communication inside the red zone. And that was the last part of the field that you want to ever break down. And knowing as though now Philadelphia has to somewhat start from scratch. They don't have their defensive coordinator. They don't have their offensive coordinator. It's going to make things difficult for them. And oh, by the way, watching that game, just to kind of go back, little revisionist history, that the field conditions in Arizona were totally awful. And that took the speed and athleticism away from the Philadelphia Eagles and being able to get after Kansas City Chiefs. But I think the book is out on Kansas City as it is. If you can pass rush and get after Patrick Mahomes, you're able to neutralize him, but that was something that Eagles were not able to do.
No, they couldn't. And, they had the answers for what Philadelphia wanted to do, at least from a defensive standpoint. That's for sure. What do you think when you're Lamar Jackson and you see this deal, though? Just to go back to what I was saying before I asked you the first question to introduce you into the show tonight. Is the reality setting in here at some point? How far do you run this if you're him, in terms of just kind of waiting around to see if anybody decides to do something that nobody is showing indications that they're going to do to this point? How much longer do you wait before you say, all right, it's time to roll up my sleeves and get down to business? We've got Odell Beckham Jr., I got Mark Andrews. We're going to be a little better offensively in terms of how we're built than we were when last season ended. Go and, kill it this year and basically a bet on you season. I said this in the segment before. He gets a chance that very few athletes get, and that's he gets a chance to bet on himself 2 years in a row. Usually you get that one shot to bet on yourself, and then you got to sign a deal. The one good thing, if there is any, about the exclusive tag is the fact that he's going to get a chance to do this all over again this year. So my advice to him at this point would be, Get your butt into camp. Sign the 35 whatever $1 million deal it is. I know to say it so flippantly almost seems insulting. But get in there and get into camp and get ready to play football.
See, that brings up a very interesting conundrum because the idea that you're presenting is very logical. Take what they're giving you, run it back, play out of your mind, and do what Joe Flacco did. He would take him to the Super Bowl, and then he got his payday. But the problem is that you're hoping that, hey, because I play well, there's going to be other suitors out there. What the market is proving right now, there are no other suitors because of there is a group think, or I'm sorry, let me give it the correct definition, collusion in the NFL, where they say, well, we don't want to reset the market. So who's to say that Lamar goes out there and perform well, and we're not in the same situation again because Baltimore doesn't want to pay him, and no one wants to get out there and reset the market because when Lamar comes back up, Burrow is going to already have his deal in place, and so will Herbert. And will he want more than what they were guaranteed? Because this contract with Jalen Hurts puts the bottom number at 51. With Joe Burrow, you have to start at 51, so you know it's going to go up. But we're going to be right here again next year if Lamar decides to do that.
So you think Herbert gets more than Jalen Hurts? Oh my God, that's crazy. I mean, the guy hasn't won any. I don't know how I'm sorry. I cannot fathom how these guys are going to ask for more when they haven't won more. And that's my issue here with Lamar. It's my issue with Herbert. It's going to be my issue with, with Josh Allen to a different degree because Josh Allen has actually won some games in the postseason. I'm sorry. I can't Joe Burrow. I can't give a guy like Herbert who hasn't won anything in the playoffs so far. I can't give him that kind of money.
Okay, well, let me put it in terms that I know you can understand, right? The price of milk, butter, and bread have all gone up since we were kids, right?
Yeah.
So you can't walk in the store and say, well, I'm not going to pay that price. No, that's the market value. That's the price. And that's what's happening. Every time a quarterback or a player gets paid, they take it to a whole different level. Jalen Hurts is taking it to $51 million average per year. So if you were Justin Herbert, do you want to start at 40? No, the market has already been set. That's where the floor is. Jay Page, you're not walking into your local store and say, you know what?
No, but you do. But here's the reality: you do have the sort of the trump card in your pocket if you're owners, and I think you'll see more owners do what the Ravens did and say, hey, we'll wait another year, we'll tag you, we'll give you a franchise tag or that sort of thing, and draw it out if they have to. I mean, look, if Justin Herbert wants to ask for 40 or 45 million when he comes due and he's won, 0 playoff games in his career, then fine, all the power to him. But if he thinks he's getting 50 million, I mean, I don't think the Chargers will give him 51. I really don't. I don't think the Chargers, if he doesn't win anything before the time he comes up, I don't think he's getting $51 million a year. I don't see it. I mean, we'll see a year from now. We'll have a chance to talk about it, hopefully. But I don't think it's going to happen. Hold on. Hey, hold the thought. Can you hold? Can you hold? Because he throws his hands up. He's like, I can hold. He knows what the music means. It's time. All right, we're coming back because I want to continue this conversation. It's a really interesting one with Nick Ferguson. The mind of a former player versus some schmuck like me who doesn't have any idea what he's talking about is always fun. We'll come back and talk about it some more. I'm Jason Page. The Cash-In continues on SportsMap Radio. All right, so tell me about you going to the CFL. Rolling along with Nick Ferguson, former NFL safety, host of the Touchdown Denver podcast, joining us from Denver. Did you see Russell Wilson almost flipped over his golf cart in a sand trap? I mean, what the hell, man?
Hey, what can I tell you, man? It's the off season, man. Crazy things happen, man. It's the off season.
What'd you think of Saquon Barkley? And I think also a prominent Giants defensive player didn't show up either for OTAs. But in the case of Saquon Barkley, does it surprise you that he'd just stay out?
No, I'm not surprised. He feels as though he was undervalued with the deal that the Giants gave to him, especially being the guy who was a former number one pick, got injured, came back and showed people he still had the same stuff. And you have to anticipate that a lot of guys in these situations are not going to show up. That's their way of protesting because, to be totally honest, they really don't have to be there right now. So that's why I feel when a guy doesn't show up, it's not as big of a deal. Now, if we're talking about training camp starting tomorrow and they're saying they're not showing up, now we are in business. Now we can talk because that player is going to be fine every day they're not there. As far as on-the-field activities that's voluntary, I mean, who cares? It's voluntary.
Dexter Lawrence, by the way, was the player I was trying to think of. So Barkley didn't show. Dexter Lawrence didn't show. Hopefully the Giants get the Barkley situation figured out. It's just so tough, though, with running backs in this league being a dime a dozen and just not being valued. You talk about a position. My God. I mean, there was a time when, man, what year was it? It's been like a decade since a guy has been drafted in the first round. You just don't see running backs going even early anymore. There might be one that goes late in the first round this year in some of the mock drafts I'm looking at, but man, the running back market, there's running backs everywhere you turn.
Yeah, but see, that's the biggest misconception. I've heard that so many times. Even here in Denver, oh man, you get those guys, they fall off the turnip truck, right? They've even said it about corners. When Patrick Surtain was drafted, oh, why are you drafting the corner in the first round? They fall off turnip trucks all the time. I'm like, what turnip truck are you looking at? Because yes, you're right. There are a lot of running backs out there, but are there quality running backs who are out there? And it should be a message to so many of those guys who are coming out who thinks that, hey, those teams love you. They only love you for a short period of time. And Saquon Barkley was an anomaly when he was drafted because I think it was Mel Kiper a couple of years ago who put the kibosh on running back saying, well, you know what? You can always find a running back. And then the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs found Isaiah Pacheco in the 6th round and he was productive, that's what teams are saying. We don't have to take one in the first round. We can wait till the 6th round. Look what the Chiefs did. Well, your offense doesn't operate the way they operate because you don't have freaking Andy Reid. So you cannot think that way.
Do you believe Nick Caserio when he says he's not leaving after the draft?
Yes. Where's he going? Right? Unless Cal McNair wants to fire him, and unless D'Amico Ryans have another direction, I don't think he's going anywhere. Now, I know the Buffalo Bills had a situation a couple of years ago where they allowed their GM to operate the draft, and after he did that, they fired him like a week later. I don't see that. I don't see that happening in Houston right now. I think they will at least give it a year, 2 years to see if D'Amico and Caserio can actually work in a cohesive way to build the Texans team to what they hope it to be, which is a playoff team first. Super Bowl last, playoff team first.
Matthew Stafford says he's at full health, feels reinvigorated, refreshed. If you're the Rams, do you go and draft a quarterback? I mean, you've got to think the end is near for him. Or do you say, all right, we're going to run it back one more year and then we'll push this decision off another year?
No, you have to go out and draft another quarterback. Because think about what the Rams did to pretty much sell their soul for a Super Bowl, right? No more Von Miller. OBJ isn't there. Jalen Ramsey isn't there. A lot of those core guys that they traded and gave away draft capital to make that team a one-hit wonder, yes, they need to go out and draft another quarterback because, once again, you don't know how long Stafford is going to play. And with so many players on both sides of the ball no longer there, they're going to struggle again this season, and you want to make sure that you position your team well to take a quarterback now because you gave up so much draft capital.
Yeah, you don't have many opportunities.
That's right. You're running out of opportunities. So if you can get one in later in the draft that falls, then you do it.
Yeah, I think their first pick is early in the second round at 36, and who knows what's going to be available in that spot. Talking with Nick Ferguson, former NFL safety, the Touchdown Denver podcast. Are you surprised on the health update from Patrick Mahomes in terms of the ankle and it taking this long to heal?
No, I'm not surprised. These things happen, and you once again, we're talking about a guy who we watch fall on that ankle more than one time, find a way to get back in the game. And I have to say, well, I think it was a Cincinnati Bengals game we were watching. He went out, and my wife was just like, well, he's done for the game. I was like, no, it's called the modern medicine of the NFL. And what did we see? Him strolling right back on the field. Injured that ankle again in the Super Bowl against the Eagles, but he was able to finish. So there could be scarring in that ankle. And yeah, you want to clean it up and make sure that it's okay. But always, anytime there's a press conference about a particular injury, you have to wonder, what are they really hiding? Or are they trying to get out in front of something before there are multiple questions?
I'm watching Sacramento rain threes down on the Warriors in Sacktown tonight. You had to be happy as a Nuggets guy being in Denver, watching what they did in Game 1 against the T-Wolves. And that's what you're supposed to do, is take care of business, get through this series quickly, rest up your guys, and get ready for the next round.
But that's the idea. And the Nuggets have been sensational at home all season long. The problem is when they go on the road, that's when they typically have their issues. But you're right. You're the number one team in the West. Everyone's saying, hey, listen, you got a two-time MVP and Joker. This is the type of showing that you're supposed to, because the last two showing were not that great. And, oh, by the way, you had a week long worth of rest. So you should come out with a team that had to play a play-in game and then another game as well. So this is the type of outcome that we expected.
I got to say this. I'm not going to sit here and say that, Embiid should win MVP. I mean, like I said, with Embiid, Giannis, Jokic, you can put them all in a hat. All of them can make an argument for MVP. But I watched Embiid tonight, and it's the first time. It's the first time I got to watch him in a game from start to finish. And they double teamed him all night. The Nets did. I know you were at a practice, so you probably didn't see it, but no. I watched him tonight, 20, 19, and 7, and he only took 11 shots, and he absolutely controlled the game. Because the Nets doubled him every time, and he could see over the top of the double team because they don't have anybody who's 7 feet. So he's able to throw it over the top of the double team all night. He's able to find open guys. He was so good tonight. I don't want to say he should win the MVP, but he looked like an MVP tonight.
Well, I think you kind of said it, even though you didn't want to say it. Yeah, I guess you implied it, so that's what my ears heard. So that was Jason Page's vote for Joel Embiid as the MVP for this season. And listen, I agree with you, and that's something I continue to point out to people. It's the most valuable player award, and look at what you are doing as a player. And the fact that they have the W and you're still able to facilitate, that's something that should be notice. So thank you for putting that out there in the universe.
You're welcome. Nick Ferguson, former NFL safety, the Touchdown Denver podcast. Stay in touch, my friend. Don't be a stranger.
Will do.
All right. So that's Nick Ferguson hanging out with us tonight on the show. Always appreciate that. Getting some, I like getting the former player perspective. Boy, not for nothing though tonight. The Kings, they were down early. I think it was like 19-12 in this game. And ever since, they've just been raining threes down on the Warriors in this game. Impressive stuff. They're up 33-29, 7:55 to go. I'll keep saying it. Take the over. What's the total at now in that game? Now it's 224.5. Just hammer it. Just keep banging the over on that game. There's going to be a barrage of points. The Warriors always score a ton in the third quarter. The third quarter always tends to be their quarter. They're just going to get tons of points in the second half of that game. I could sense it. So 33-31 Sacramento on top of Golden State as they play about midway, about 7:50 to go in the second quarter. It's a final in Boston tonight. Bruins hang on to beat the Florida Panthers 3-1. Again, no team in all of professional sports has more pressure on them than the Boston Bruins right now. None. It's not even close. Carolina hangs on to beat the Islanders 2-1, as we mentioned earlier. Edmonton jumping out to a 2-0 lead on Los Angeles. And Dallas, 15:47 to go in the second quarter, leads Minnesota 2-1. We'll keep you updated on all the playoff hockey. Sacramento and Golden State as well. Hour number 1 in the books. Coming back with another hour of the cash-in. Good to have you with us tonight on SportsMap Radio. Stay tuned. All right, we're in the break. Another hour of the show starts right now on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. Oh, it's going sideways right now for the Warriors. They were up 19-12, and now they're down 40-31, which means they've been outscored, 20-12? Something like that? No, even worse than that. It was 19-12, so they've scored 12. 21-12. I don't know. They're down 9, though. I know that. Oh, they just got a dunk. So 40-33 Sacramento. Look, the reality is it's just a matter of whose offense wins out. And we had Chris Mannix on the show last week. I'll bend down and pick up that name I just dropped. We had Chris Mannix from SI on the show last week, who's one of the better NBA insiders that you could talk to. And Mannix said it. Now, the reality is both of these teams are not good defensively. And Andrew Wiggins coming back is not going to negate that fact because they weren't that great defensively when Wiggins was in the lineup this year. And it's just going to be a matter of which offense can score more because they're both going to score. Both these teams are going to put up numbers. It's just a question of which offense wins out. And we're so programmed as basketball fans think, well, naturally that's going to be the team with Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson and Jordan Poole and all these guys. But it isn't. And most people just have not seen enough of Sacramento to understand this is a prolific offense. It is as good an offense as you. Oh, my God. Stephen Curry just shot one that brought down rain. He almost hit the top of the Golden Credit Union Center, Golden One Credit Union Center. But on the other end, Sacramento just doesn't seem to get flustered or intimidated, and they're just able to score at will. Anyway, they're up 6 right now, 5 minutes to go in the second. After getting down early in this game, they took the early haymakers from the Warriors. The Warriors tried to basically come out and give them their best and sort of say, hey, we're not gonna go down 2-0 in this series, and then you turn around and you've given them your best, and you're still down, 6 points right now with 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. Again, there's plenty of time. Lots of things can happen in this game. And I still anticipate the Warriors, are going to be heard from in this game. But I'll say this right now. I will put this out there in the universe, and people can choose to laugh at it when I say it because, the Warriors are defending champions and, the best team of the last decade and all of this stuff. Sabonis bucket in the foul, by the way. Hoop and harm, as we would say in the trade. Chance to go up 9 here. And I'm watching the Warriors. They look bewildered. You could tell they're a team without any answers to stop what Sacramento is doing. If Sacramento wins tonight, this series is over. The Warriors are not beating this team 4 out of the next 5 games. There isn't anything I have seen over 82, now 83, and this being the 84th game of the year, that tells me the Golden State Warriors are going to win 4 out of the next 5 games if they lose tonight. And all of you chumps, and your chumps, that went and put money on Golden State throughout the whole year thinking this is the moment they turn around. No, now when they get to the playoffs, you're all going to be chumps when you put all those future bets on them. Chump, chump, chump. Feeling chumpy. Party of one. Your table's now ready. I'll give you another one, by the way. Listen, I know it sounds like Knicks Lakers bias here, but the Lakers at plus 1,700, I would go and throw a hundo on. And the Knicks at plus 4,200. Did you see the Knicks in game 1 against Cleveland? They had all the answers. We haven't even talked about the games over the weekend yet. Later in this hour, we'll be joined by Matt Verderam, get his thoughts on the Jalen Hurts deal. Also, the Patrick Mahomes stuff we were talking about as well, because he's kind of locked in with Kansas City as well. Matt Verderam from SI.com will join us. Tomorrow night on the show, Robin Lundberg, who does a great job with SI. It feels like we got a pipeline into SI guys lately, doesn't it? Thank you. I know. Very good. Yeah, it's true. Robin Lundberg on the show tomorrow to talk about the NBA. And he sees plenty of the Knicks because he's in New York. So it'll be interesting to see what he has to say about their Game 1 performance. And Game 2 of that series, I believe, is tomorrow night. Let me look here. Tomorrow night tomorrow night is Atlanta-Boston. That's the NBA TV. It's the bone they throw over to NBA TV. So you get Atlanta-Boston tomorrow, with Boston up 1-0 in that series. And then you get the Knicks in Cleveland a half hour after that game starts. So Knicks in Cleveland in Game 2, what is basically a must-win for Cleveland. They got to get one tomorrow night. Knicks have already done what they came to do and get one game in Cleveland. If they get another, look out. And I'll tell you, you couldn't be more impressed with the Clippers last night. Now, I'm tending when it comes to these teams like Milwaukee and Phoenix, I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. And I know it's the playoffs and you should be coming out with your hair on fire and fired up. And it shouldn't be an excuse that you've had a long layoff or you haven't played any meaningful basketball. I mean, if you're Milwaukee, you haven't played a meaningful game in over 2 weeks. And then, of course, and look, even before Giannis got hurt in that game last night, things were going sideways and the Heat were, doing a lot of things they wanted to do offensively. And Phoenix and the Clippers was a relatively close game. And Phoenix was able to get back into that game, and it was relatively close, but Kawhi Leonard just imposed his will. And this is why people get so frustrated when Kawhi Leonard isn't on the court. When you watch him, and he's healthy, and he's taking over basketball games, and he's out-dueling Kevin Durant on the other end, when Durant's got all of the different accessories at his disposal, DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and you're watching Kawhi operate out there without Paul George. And he willed that team to victory last night. I mean, that was impressive stuff from the Clippers last night. I don't know if it was necessarily impressive what Russell Westbrook did at halftime of the game. Did you hear about this? I'll save it. What'd you say? Yes. Yeah. Well, I'll talk about it coming up in a few minutes. I'll hold it. Don't jump the gun on it, because we'll talk about it coming up on the other side. Because I mean, this stuff is out of control. These player-fan interactions that we're seeing around the sports world, it's just, you feel like it's coming to a head, and something bad's going to happen. I don't know when, I don't know where, I don't wish for it to happen, but when you hear about this incident with Russell Westbrook from last night, which I didn't find out about until today. I didn't know this went down until today when I was doing the prep for the show, because I had a lot of stuff going on today. And once I buried myself in prep work for the show, I came across the story and I said, what? He did what? I mean, you got to be out of your mind. We'll get to that coming up in a few minutes. Boy, Curry's just jacking him up from anywhere he can. If Curry gets an open look, it doesn't matter if it's from 35 feet, he's taking the shot. Sacramento up 7, by the way, is the latest in that game. Sacramento up 7. Let's see where we are on the live betting for that game, too. See? It's already back up to 230.5. Oh, it was 19-12 with 4 minutes to go in the first quarter. I don't care. These teams are going to regress to the mean, and the mean is a lot of points. That's what the mean is. There's 2:41 to go in the second quarter. The total is still 230.5. And I would still take the over. These two teams are just going to continue to score. That's all they can and will do. And the Sacramento Kings, they're very content trying to win games by just outscoring you. You know, it's very similar, and this is why a lot of people think they can't win a championship, is it's very much akin to Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni was one of the most prolific offensive NBA coaches the game has ever seen. And none of his teams ever won championships. He's one of the best head coaches to never win a championship. Him and George Karl are two of the best coaches of my generation that never won a championship. And you know why? Defense. Teams couldn't play defense. Especially in the case of D'Antoni more than anybody. His teams never played defense. And I'm not saying you got to be, the Knicks of, Pat Riley in the 90s type defense. But you got to do something on the defensive end, and they never could. That's why Mike D'Antoni will retire as one of the best head coaches to never win a championship. All right, Warriors get a 3. 2:15 to go in the second. Sacramento up 52-47. We'll keep you posted on that. This Russell Westbrook story is bonkers. I'm going to tell it to you coming up. And you're going to agree with me that something bad is coming down the line between a player and a fan. It's coming. We're coming back on the Cash In at SportsMap Radio. Be right back. What the hell? Did the dog pee? No, I think he spilled the water. All the way over there? All the way over here.
Oh no, he drank the water and then because he was such a... No, because he was thirsty. He had run out and he was thirsty. It's alright. Daddy got you. Daddy understands.
Yep, I'm here. See, this is what I like. This is what I enjoy about getting different producers from time to time on the show. You get different music. You can tell a lot about the people you work with and your colleagues and your producers by the type of music they play. Gives you a little window, a little peek. Sacramento up 56-52, final possession of the first half, with them up 4. Wow, that's like Stephen Curry range. And Sabonis gets an offensive rebound on the missed shot. Oh, boy, he's grabbing his knee. That's not good. It's the last thing that team needs. And he just went down hard. He's all right. Oh, no, he was holding on to his foot. It wasn't his knee. He was holding on to his foot. Get in the locker room. Tape it up. Let's go. It's the playoffs. Especially when I got hockey games on right now. We all know how tough hockey players are. But they're not as Sabonis at the line for a couple of free throws here late in the first half. And look, Golden State, you can't blame the effort or the want or the desire of the Warriors. They just cannot keep up so far through a game and a half with this Sacramento team. That's all there is to it. And that may change. Again, when you're talking about two teams that are, closely matched, and we know how prolific the Warriors offense can be. But boy, I am mighty impressed with what Mike Brown and this team continue to do. It's really fun to watch the Warriors get tested like this. Oh boy. Disastrous final possession to end the first half for the Warriors. They don't even get off a shot. All right, we've reached halftime in Sacktown. The Kings lead the Warriors 58-52 at the break. And look, the Warriors season comes down to these two quarters. Let's just say it right now. The Warriors season comes down to these two quarters. If they don't find a way to get by and win this game tonight, this series is over. I don't care how good they are at home. They're not winning 4 of the next 5 games against this Kings team. It's not happening. I don't want to hear about, heart of a champion, Rudy Tomjanovich. I don't want to hear it. Not happening. We'll be joined coming up in 12 minutes by Matt Verderam, SI.com's NFL insider. Get his thoughts on sort of the machinations and how this whole thing worked out with Jalen Hurts getting his deal done today. This Russell Westbrook story is just flat out bonkers. So Russell Westbrook, I didn't know this. And after you watch this and you consider that this guy was playing, out of his mind during an NBA game yesterday, and his shooting was terrible. We don't even, what was he, 3 of 17, 3 of 18, something like that. He couldn't buy a basket yesterday, right? Well, yesterday, at halftime of the game in Phoenix, Clippers point guard Russell Westbrook, during halftime, a video was uploaded by Twitter user Blake Christopher. In a clip, you could see Russell Westbrook coming into a luxury suite in Phoenix, and Westbrook is seen confronting a man sitting on a couch while a security guard is between the two. He yells at the man to watch your mouth, MFer. The man quickly gets out of his seat and tells Westbrook, take it like a man. After Westbrook repeatedly told the man to watch his mouth, he exited the suite and went back to the court. Christopher said the encounter happened during halftime. Eddie Gonzalez is co-host of the podcast, The ETCs with Kevin Durant, said he was there during the exchange, and according to Gonzalez, the man called Westbrook Westbrick, a nickname that's been given by the internet for Westbrook's shooting struggles. Dwayne Rankin, a reporter for AZ Central, said opposing players actually walk through that area to get to the locker room. In fact, they've done it all season. But can you imagine? Can you imagine a player walking into a luxury suite that somebody has bought and paid for and confronting a fan that is heckling them during the game? I mean, it's bonkers behavior. And look, I get it. You know, there are certain lines fans can't cross. I got news for you. Calling somebody Westbrick is not one of those lines. Not making fun of his kids, not making fun of his wife, not making fun of his mother, not making fun of... He's just calling him Westbrick, for crying out loud. And I said this in the last segment, and I'll say it again. We are not far. And I know some people will say, well, we already had that moment, the malice in the palace. Steven Jackson, Ron Artest, fan up in the seats, throws a water bottle, hits Artest, goes up into the stands. They start swinging. Guy looks like he's fearing for his life, as he should have been. But I think something far worse is going to come one of these days. Because these interactions between fans and players, we just had the incident a couple weeks ago in Oakland. Who was the player? Anthony Rendon. Yeah, Rendon took a swipe at somebody and knocked their hat off because they were heckling him walking back to the locker room saying, they cost him money. I guess Rendon didn't play well and somebody had a bet on something and claimed it cost him money. Or no, that might have been the Bradley Beal. That might have been the Bradley Beal incident where that happened. But either way, I mean, these are the types of interactions you're getting between fans and players. And something's going to go down one day where somebody's going to have a weapon, or a player who doesn't know their own strength is going to do something, and somebody's going to get seriously hurt. The day's coming. And there's only so much security you can have out there before it, turns into a sporting event / police state to secure an event. It shouldn't be this way. I don't know where we got to the point, and I don't, look, without getting into some moralistic discussion, or where did we start to cross the line in terms of bad behavior by fans and players who just have said enough is enough, we're not going to take it anymore. I don't know where that line, I don't know where it came, or where it's, when we got to a point where we've just crossed the Rubicon, so to speak. But I'm fearful something's going to go down one of these days at these games. All it takes is somebody sneaking in a weapon. God, if you know anything about security and sports events, I hate to say it, it's not the greatest. You can sneak stuff in. Oh, let me go through your bag, sir. All right, cursory look. You're on your way through. Doesn't have to be a gun. Ask Monica Seles. She got stabbed in the back. She was never the same. All it takes is one mentally unstable individual to go to that next step beyond where we are now. And the way we view sports in person will change forever. And it takes two to tango. Russell Westbrook, you cannot go into a luxury suite. You cannot go into a suite and do this. You cannot do that. The Suns say they're investigating. I don't know if the league's investigating. Last thing the Clippers need is Russell Westbrook suspended for any period of time, considering they're not going to have Paul George for the remainder of this first round series. At least that's the way it looks. And boy, now you talk about must wins, by the way. Phoenix in game 2, they are now in a must win situation. They cannot afford to lose game 2 tomorrow night and go down 0-2 in that series. I don't care, Paul George or no Paul George. you'd then be asking them to go and win 4 of the next 5 against a pretty good Clippers team. And a team that'd be going back to crypto with a whole lot of confidence. All right. We'll do some more NFL on the other side. Matt Verderam will stop by the show. Does a great job with SI.com. Get some thoughts from him on the Jalen Hurts deal and sort of what led to it. What happens with quarterback contracts now? That's coming up on the other side. They're at the half with the Kings on top of the Warriors. We'll keep you posted on that. 58-52. The cash-in continues on a Monday. SportsMap Radio. Stay with us. Do, 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 do. What is he talking about? Jesus. Just love people that love to play the contrarian role for the sake of it.
Noah.
Hi.
What's going on?
Just listening to promos of other shows on our network and shaking my head.
I'll enjoy that. That sounds like a fun way to spend a Monday night.
Jesus Christ. There's just some people on the airwaves who just want to be a contrarian at all costs, even if it means just sounding foolish while they're doing it. It just drives me nuts.
Well, there are plenty of people who do that in my business stuff.
Yeah. But it's like, I don't know. Smartest guy in the room syndrome, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was, what was it? It must have been during Super Bowl week. Somebody in Philadelphia, who's kind of known for hot takes anyway, wrote that it hurts. If the Eagles won the Super Bowl, that Hurts is now what you look for in a quarterback and not Mahomes.
Okay.
And I was like, Mike, let's be real. I like Jalen Hurts a lot. There's no world where that's happening.
Yeah.
But I mean, some of the stuff, it's still like, my whole thing is you can't honestly believe that. And if you do, then I have serious questions.
You did your mock draft. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I got
I'll ask you about it.
Oh, God.
God. Is Herbert really going to get more than Jalen Hurts next year?
Yes.
I think that's bonkers. I just think it's nuts. These guys that don't win.
That's actually maybe something we should talk about in the air because I think so.
Hold on, we're coming back. Hold on. We'll talk about it in the air. Matt Verderam and I are doing the show in the green room, so to speak. I'm sorry. I can't accept that. And I love Justin Herbert, by the way. You won't find many people that love him more than me. But I cannot accept that a guy's going to get more than Jalen Hurts when he, at least to this point, hasn't won a single playoff game. He just made his first appearance. Like, and you're just going to say, here's $52 million because, Jalen Hurts got 51. Matt Verderam's here, NFL Insider, SI.com, joins us on the show. He's got his mock draft 8. Is it really your 8th one? Mock draft 8.0?
Oh, no, I think it's SI's 8th one. It's my first one.
Okay.
And it is my only one.
Fair enough. But we were just talking about it during the break. So Hurts gets this massive deal. Is Herbert really going to be able to just walk into next season? Especially if they don't, let's say they're, middle of the rung team again this year, and you're going to go and just give them the whole bank.
So here's the interesting part of all this. So it was either late September or early October, somewhere in that range, I wrote a column when I was working over at Fanside, and I wrote about Burrow and Herbert and what you should expect if they have good years, which obviously both of them ended up having very good years individually, and then both teams made the playoffs. I talked to 3 big-time agents who rep huge players in the league and asked them, if you rep one of those guys, which they do not, what would you want in negotiations? What would be your asking price? And independently, all 3 said the exact same number. They all said $55 million a year. So,
Jesus,
I think that's realistic, but I think it's more realistic for Burrow because Burrow can sit there and say, "Hey, look, it's like Jalen Hurts. I've gone to a Super Bowl. I'm a Pro Bowl level player. I'm an MVP level player. No, he hasn't won one. Neither has Hurts. They're both in the conversation. That's fine." Herbert is far more fascinating for many reasons. One is, what is the game that he is most known for in terms of the biggest game he's ever played in? It's blowing a 27-0 lead. Okay? He has never won a playoff game. He's only been to one of them. Now, not all his fault, but it matters. The other part of it is this. While the Bengals and the Chargers are both teams that are cash poor, the Chargers just paid a $650 million fee to relocate. They also have all this infighting in the Spanos family that's going into the legal system as we speak, or in the legal system as we speak. If you're the Chargers, you're going to tell me at some point in negotiations it's not going to come up that he's never won a playoff game? That's where it gets really interesting. Do the Chargers try to take a hard line with her? Because if they do, that could get ugly. And I think in the end he'll get more than Hurts because most of the time you just kind of follow the market that way. But there's a real case that he shouldn't. And do the Chargers try to make it?
Well, then how do people see now? Now I'm almost forced to take the side of Lamar Jackson when you explain it that way, because I'm watching all these guys get their money, and Lamar Jackson is still stuck at $35 million. It almost makes me start to feel like, yeah, Lamar's getting screwed here.
Well, Lamar, this is why it's so fascinating. Lamar is, and he's also not. So if you look at the contract, $51 million a year for Hurts, and he got about $180 million guaranteed. The Ravens, by all indications, would sign that deal yesterday, or at least be, I think, very willing to have the conversation. Now, 180 is probably a little higher than they'd like to go, but I think they'd have the conversation. I think the Ravens would absolutely say, all right, is that what you want? And if he said yes, I think, okay, let's talk. The problem's going to be if Lamar wants 200 plus or fully guaranteed, it's just not going to happen. And this Hurts contract, I should say, only furthers that notion. Like, if you're the Ravens, you're sitting there going, Lamar, he did not get $200 million guaranteed or $250 million guaranteed. But if you're Lamar Jackson, you're sitting there going, if Jalen Hurts got $51 million a year, I want 55 plus because I am an MVP. It's a fascinating thing. The difference is, of course, Hurts got his team to a Super Bowl, played very well in it. Jackson's never been to an AFC title game. Jackson has an injury history. Now, after the last 2 years, Hurts does not. It's really interesting. But Jackson has a better case to get paid in a lot of ways than Herbert does. It just depends on what is the asking price, and so far it's been way too high for Baltimore or anybody else.
You missed another difference between Hurts and Jackson, and we've talked about it ad nauseum before, and that is one has an agent and one doesn't. Is it too simplistic? Yeah. Is it as simplistic as saying if Lamar Jackson had one of the bigger agents or any agent, if he had a reputable agent, would a deal have been done by now? I mean, I know it's a tough question to answer, but in your opinion, in your professional opinion, which I would like to say you have, would a deal have gotten done?
I think there's a much greater chance the deal would have gotten done. I don't know that you can say for sure, but because in the end, I think Jackson's got to sit there and sign.
I mean, you talk to agents. The reason I ask it is you talk to agents. So I've even talked to Lee Steinberg about it without mentioning names because technically he's not allowed to talk about other players and things like that. But I get the sense that if he had an agent, we would not be in this position.
No, I think a lot of people feel that way, and I do feel that way. I think look. The biggest reason having an agent would help him is because an agent could, first of all, sit down and explain to Lamar Jackson, you're not getting $250 million guaranteed. That's not happening. But there is just no world where that happens unless you are willing to either hold out what might be an entire season, okay, or to do what Kirk Cousins did, which is to play all these tags out and then get the free agency. But you've got to go through a grueling couple of years. You haven't been able to hold officially the last couple of years. Do you want to take that risk? So I think most agents would say you probably should sign now if you can get a deal that's even close to what you want. Now, the other side of it is an agent, of course, can control the narrative in the media, and an agent would be able, especially in his current situation, to go out and talk to the teams, kind of gauge the market and understand exactly what's out there. So, look, Nicole Lynn represents Jalen Hurts. She's part of Clutch. Clutch is a huge name. I mean, right up there at Athletes First and Vayner Sports, all the rest of them. Like they're a big power broker, CAA. That absolutely helps. And so, look, I think Hurts. He got a great deal today, and it's a great deal for the Eagles, by the way, as well. I think it's a win-win.
Oh, it's team friendly for the next 3 years. Their window is still right there for the next 3 years in terms of being able to put talent around them and win.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at those cap hits through 2026, he's getting paid like a mid-run. He doesn't have a cap hit, I believe. I'm not looking at it right this second. I don't think it exceeds 31.5 or 32 million in the next 4 seasons.
Yes, you're correct.
I mean, Daniel Jones is making $40 million a year now. Okay, like that's reality. Daniel Jones is going to have a higher cap hit some of those years than Jalen Hurts does. So I think that's why some of these deals. Look, the best deals are the deals where the player is going to get most, if not all, of the contract, which I think Hurts has a very real chance to do here. And also, the team maintains flexibility. That's why the Mahomes deal might be the greatest deal in professional sports right now. Mahomes is getting paid $500 million, and the Chiefs have the flexibility to move money around to the point where they can open up $23 million a year at the blink of an eye, and it doesn't hurt them going forward. So that's where, that's why some of these deals, like the Russell Wilson deal, is just a calamity. I mean, it's good for Russell Wilson, but for the Broncos, they're just so hamstrung by the whole thing. So I think it was a great deal by Howie Roseman, not surprisingly, and it's great for Hurts because he's getting paid a life-changing amount of money.
All right, I got 2 minutes here. Talk about your mock draft, which is up at SI.com. All anybody really cares about is who's going 1, who's going 2, at least right now, with Stroud and Bryce Young. You've got Stroud going 1 to the Panthers. Why?
It's funny. I published this last week, and I'll be very honest.
You've changed your mind already?
Well, no. So I spent a lot of the last 3 days talking to people in the league because there's been a lot of smoke about the Texans. They may not take a quarterback too. I spent a lot of time talking to people, and my understanding, in flash understanding. Look, I mean, this is a lying season, and people lie about everything. But I should say that the general thought is that if Young doesn't go to the Panthers, then yes, the Texans would take Young. But it sounds like the Panthers are at this point really moving toward Young. And so if that's the case, I don't know that Stroud is going to Houston. I don't think it's out of the question by any means. But I think there's a real chance he goes past 2. And if Stroud goes past 2, where does he go? Does he go to 4? Colts? If he gets past the Colts, does he really fall? I mean, the Colts, there's been talk about they love Will Levis. So, yes, in my mock, I have Stroud and Young. But like I said, after talking to people around the league this weekend, it feels like this stuff shifts day to day. And I feel like Young right now is probably the considerable odds-on favorite to just go to Carolina.
Will Levis should slip to Mr. Irrelevant because he puts mayonnaise in his coffee, and I can't trust
It's
anybody
disgusting.
who does that.
No, he doesn't.
That's
Doesn't he
gross.
do something else too,
I
where he
don't know.
eats something else like the peel on? It's a disaster.
Mayonnaise in his coffee is a deal breaker for me. I gotta go. Thanks for joining me tonight, my friend. I'll be in touch.
Hey, no problem. Anytime.
Matt Verderam joining us on the show. We're coming back. More of the cash-in. It's good stuff. It was fun. So what shows have you been doing on here? Oh, really? Yeah, you've been on the local side? Okay. You're getting plenty of reps, though, right? That's good. Good. At least you're getting shifts. I tell you, it's amazing. I mean, we're what? Week and a half out from the draft, and this thing is still a huge unknown. Usually this close to the draft, you know who's going one. And the fact that we still don't know is kind of crazy. Yeah, I do too. I won't be on the air Thursday and Friday. I because they wanted to put a VSiN show on. They had Sean King from the draft on Thursday night. I should get Sean on. He's actually a good friend of mine. And then Friday night, he was like, do you just want to take Friday off? And I was like, I think you're trying to give me a hint that you want me to take Friday off. So I'll take Friday off. But I'm going to be taking some time off in May because I got to travel to Connecticut for my dad's 80th birthday, and there's a lot of I got a lot of good stuff going on, but just a lot of stuff. Yeah, we're waiting on hoping to get a deal done for a nationally syndicated TV show for me. Yeah, it would be. Boom, 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 boom. Can't go wrong with Michael. Good to have you with us tonight. Thank you to Matt Verderam for joining us. Do some NFL tonight because we're going to be doing a lot of NBA this week. Robin Lundberg tomorrow. Lundberg. Talk to Robin Lundberg on the show tomorrow. SI.com's NBA reporter. He does a lot of video stuff for SI. I love Robin. He's a funny guy, very talented. He'll join us on the show tomorrow night. Look forward to chatting with him. So right now, just to keep you up to date on what's going on in the game of the night, the one we're following the most, Sacramento on top of Golden State, 71-64. And again, the Warriors have... you could see the urgency. This isn't a situation where Golden State's come out lackadaisical. I mean, they flipped the switch, but there's still a couple of lights flickering. I mean, it's just not happening. And their season literally comes down to the next quarter and a half. That's it. The Warriors season right now comes down to this quarter and a half. And frankly, you can make the argument, and I'm not one that's prone to hyperbole, want for hyperbole. I'm not one, we don't do hyperbole on this show. We don't do the greatest thing ever. We try not to anyway. But with that having been said, and I've said this all night, we could be talking about the slow breakdown, the slow teardown of the Warriors franchise as we've known it. Dre, Clay, Steph. We could be talking about the teardown of that franchise as we know it in 19 minutes. If the Warriors don't win this game, because they're not winning the series if they don't win this game. And now you're talking about a franchise that has to make hard decisions at the end of the year, starting with Draymond Green, who I don't think anybody thinks, well, maybe not anybody. A lot of people believe he will not be on this roster next year. This organization's got tough decisions to make. I'd be interested to see if Steve Kerr hangs around for a tear-down rebuild or if he pulls a Doc Rivers. Remember when Doc was in Boston after the Celtics won their championships and then, all of a sudden, Pierce was gone and KG was gone, and then all of a sudden the Doc said, oh, you know what? On second hand, I don't want to be here anymore because we suck. And I thought that was one of the lousiest things. I thought it was just such an indictment on him that if he wasn't coaching big stars, he didn't want to be a part of it. And then he went to the Clippers, won absolutely nothing, as I predicted he would. And now he's in Philadelphia where he's got the third best team in the East. That's essentially what you're talking about right now. Boy, the Warriors just cannot get a run going in this game. That's all there is to it. Illegal screen called there against, I wasn't sure who that one was on. But Sacramento with the ball up 9. They got a chance to go up double digits here midway through the third quarter. It's just, Warriors just don't have the answers defensively. It's a bonus. Let's see what they do here. All right, so Warriors get a stop on the defensive end there. And they, like I said right now, it's just, can they string together enough stops? On top of being able to make some baskets, can they string together enough stops in this game? I picked Sacramento. 6. And I think I think that winds up probably being where it is if they win tonight. I can't see it going more than 6. The Warriors aren't winning this series. They're not winning 4 of the next 5 games. There isn't anything I've seen in the DNA of this group of Golden State Warriors. That's Charles, by the way. Charles Carter, our producer, engineer, working the show in Houston tonight. People are probably saying, who's that? He never works with you. Thank you. Charles, I I just don't see it. I don't know how much of the Warriors and NBA you've watched this year, but I've not seen anything, and I see a lot of them being out here on the West Coast. I have not seen anything in the DNA of this team that tells me, oh boy, and there's a travel on Wiggins. That's yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. About a minute and a half ago, Kevon Looney picked up his 5th foul. That's a minute and a half ago, midway through the 3rd quarter. So bye-bye Looney until late in this game. And at that point, he's might as well just put him on ice. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oof, boy. The Warriors are dodging bullets right now. And I don't know how much more they're going to be able to dodge them. Well, they didn't dodge that one. Sabonis hits it. So I mean, Sacramento's up 13 with 4:58 to go in the 3rd. Let me tell you right now, if the Warriors get run out of that building tonight, it is a wrap, man. I don't look, like I said, people are going to say all they want. It's until you beat the champs, they're not beaten, and like a bad horror movie, they still got one last life. And if anybody can do it, ... But one of the things with doing this show in this time slot is we're on during the late window games, 10 p.m. Eastern to 1 a.m. Eastern. And the beauty of that is we are constantly on in the Warriors playing window unless they're, traveling east. So I see more Warriors basketball than just about any national host. And I'm not one of these hosts that does a show while who hosts a show and doesn't watch the games while they're on. I have to, because I'm trying to keep you up to date on what's going on and what I'm seeing, and in real time giving you reactions. So I see a lot of the Warriors. And you cannot simply play the way they've played this year with this on-again, off-again mentality. Oh, we're down 10 in the 3rd? All right, let's flip the switch. And you come back and win a game and you're at home. And then go on the road and be as bad as they've been all year. And then the postseason just suddenly starts. And when the postseason starts, they're just suddenly going to become a different team. You are what you are. Bill Parcells had a saying in the NFL. You are what your record says you are. This was a 9-30 team on the road until 2 throwaway games late in the year where opponents didn't play their starters. 9-30. That's about a 25% winning clip. And now you're expecting me to believe they're going to go into one of the tougher places to play, one of the tougher environments, one of the more raucous environments. They're just suddenly going to flip a switch. And because they're the Warriors. Again, keep this in mind. And I'm not trying to take a dump on the Warriors and what they did last year in winning a title. The Celtics absolutely disintegrated in that series after being up. 2-1 in that series, I think they were? They disintegrated in that series. So, I mean, that's why it was easy for me to pick Sacramento. I never wavered on the idea of whether Sacramento was the right pick in this series. And them being disrespected by the odds makers and every pundit who tells you how smart they are on TV, Stephen A. Smith. Every pundit that tells you how smart they are on TV are now doing their mea culpas already. They were doing it after game 1. They had the oh bleep moment where they suddenly realized, oh wait, Sacramento's this good? Oh wait, the Warriors can't stop them? Every pundit, except this one. We told you Sacramento was going to win the series. Oh, Steph just took a shot to the face, I guess. Wow, he missed a free throw. You know what's going wrong when Steph Curry's missing free throws. Yeesh. Yeah, it's got to be frustrating. It's not like they're not playing hard. It's not like the effort isn't there. They just don't have the answers for Sacramento's questions. That's it. And to go a step further with the school analogy, they're failing the test right now. 15 and a half minutes left in the Warrior season as far as I'm concerned. That wraps up hour 2. Final hour right around the corner. We got you all the way on Sacramento and Golden State. I'm Jason Page. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Yeah, they're done, dude. Oh, yeah. Sacramento in transition. Jesus Christmas. You got to get stops, though. It doesn't matter. They can't score. Oh, boy. Got bailed out there. Bad pass. Yeah, when you see teams complaining to officials, hands on their knees, it's all the universal signs. Clay's a free agent at the end of next year. Clay's a free agent at the end of next year. Curry signed through 25-26. Well, Poole's got his bag, so that's done. Team's a mess. It's like, when do you tear the Band-Aid off? Wiggins is a free agent after this year. Wiggins is only 27. It's crazy. I think he's so much older. of a Monday/Tuesday edition of the show. Thanks for being with us. Alongside producer, engineer Charles Carter. I am the Jason Page. At least that's what they tell me. Sacramento up 12 with 2:26 to go in the third quarter coming out of a timeout. I was just looking it up during the break. So, I mean, this is the situation. I just texted our friend who joins us on the show from time to time, Daryl Guru Johnson from 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. He's the host of their midday show. And I just texted him. I said, it's over. Start the slow teardown of this franchise. And it may not be that slow of a teardown. Here's the thing. Wiggins is a free agent after this year. Draymond Green's a free agent after this year. Clay is up at the end of next year. And Curry's under contract forever. I mean, he's making his money and he's under contract for a while. But Clay is up at the end of next year. And you'll be talking about a guy who's 33, multiple surgeries, and making, $43 million next year. Anybody going to give him that money after he's done? Unless he's willing to take a dramatic pay cut. He's not coming back. Not bringing him back, and I don't think he's going to want a pay cut. I could see, where I could see Clay winding up? You ready for this one, Charles? You know where I could see Clay winding up after next year? Lakers. Follow. Yeah. Following his dad's footstep. Go Michael Thompson, man. I could absolutely see Clay winding up with the Lakers after he's done on this deal next year. Yeah, that music was appropriate. By the way, Warriors have crept to within 6 here. Kings getting a little sloppy with the basketball. And a little reckless going to the basket. And now all of a sudden the Warriors are finding themselves down 6. So they're within striking distance. They just haven't been able to show that they can get over the hump in this game. The NBA's got to change this rule, by the way. This whole thing where you roll the ball down the court and the clock doesn't start until somebody picks it up. I can't stand that. Just start the clock. Second the ball hits the floor, the clock starts. The clock starts. That's it. Sabonis get fouled? Yeah, Sabonis got fouled. So, approaching the end of the third, Sacramento's going to have a lead going to the fourth quarter. By the way, I haven't given out the phone number or the text line all night because it's just been about talking about the games. 800-224-2004 is the phone number from anywhere in America if you want to weigh in tonight. 800-224-2004. If you want to text the show, 888-670-8549. 888-670-8549 if you want to text us from anywhere in America. Texts coming in. This one from Detroit, Michigan. James sending us a message, listening up there. Hey, Jason, so let's say if the Warriors win over the Kings in a possible Game 7 in Sacramento, would you be absolutely, completely shocked, stunned? I honestly wouldn't be at all, James, in Detroit. I would be. Because this team hasn't shown it can win a big game on the road all year. So it's very difficult for me to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're going to be able to win a Game 7. I just can't do it. Richard in Austin, Texas. I listen on the horn. I love your show. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate you. Love all our listeners. Austin's one of our biggest audiences. It's not to say our other, stations and affiliates that we're on around the country aren't big. We're on in Dallas, 97.1 The Freak. We love you there. Houston, 92.5. We're on in the ATL. We're on in Oklahoma City. We're on in Green Bay. So there's a big possession. Sacramento up 8, final seconds of the third quarter. Oh, they coughed it up. Chance to go up 10, and instead they're going to be up 8 at the end of 3. So there you go. Sacramento up 8 at the end of 3. This is it, Warrior fans. This is it. Wow, Draymond Green's in somebody's ear. Is that Malik Monk that Dre was just yapping with? Yeah, it's Dre. They get down 2-0, it could get real ugly in Golden State, especially after Sacramento chucked E40 out of the game. They ejected him from game 1, which, by the way, I'm not going to spend more than 5 seconds on this show because I don't care. I don't care if you're a famous person and you've got great seats at a basketball game and you do something or find a way to get yourself tossed out of a game. I don't care. I'm not feeling sorry for you if you're some famous person. By the way, I hate to say this, no disrespect to E40. I've never heard of you in my life. No idea who you are. Do you even know who E40 is, Charles? Who's E40? I wouldn't know E40 if he was serving me my drink at Starbucks. Wouldn't know who he is. No clue, don't care. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know why everybody's making a big deal out of this story. Oh, E40 got thrown out of the game. E40? Is this bingo? There's no E in bingo. I'm like, what is going on here? Yeah. Thank you. B9. It's not a tumor. It's B9. You like that? Yeah, thank you. I-22. Quack, quack. Oh, man. I've gone to bingo with my mom a couple of times. She's asked me to go, and I've gone with her a couple of times. So I know all the kind of subtle, quirky things they do when certain numbers are called. Oh, God, yeah. There's jokes for a lot of the numbers. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's not a tumor. It's B9. But yeah, it's like, oh, E40 got thrown out of the game. Be still my beating heart. Some celebrity guy who's got like front row seats to a basketball game just because of his name got thrown out of a game. Oh my God, however will I survive? And the Warriors are going to take this out on the Kings tonight. Really? That's the motivation you need? You're fighting for your playoff lives? Oh, E40, that's the final straw, though. That's a bridge too far for us. Now we're going to really play hard. But I'm telling you, I sat here and just went through the Warriors roster. You know, as far as the big stars on that team. Wiggins, free agent. Clay, a free agent after next year. Dre, a free agent after this year. That's it. And then you have to, and again, not to try and take this too far down the line, because there's a lot of decisions that before we get to this point. Before you know it, Stephen Curry turns around. He's on a team where all his boys are gone. He's playing on a young team, averaging 35 a game, but winning 42 games a year. And how long is it before Steph says, my turn, I want out? There's no question. That's the logical path this thing goes down. Is Steph going to want to play out the final 3 or 4 years of his career? Excuse me. Is Steph going to want to play the final 3 or 4 years of his career for a fledgling Warriors franchise? Yes, absolutely. Because there's been talk, and I've talked with numerous NBA people about this for years, that Steph would like to finish his career potentially in Charlotte following his dad's footsteps. I think there's a good chance Dre will retire. He doesn't need it. But the thing is, he doesn't need it. He's a media sweetheart, even though, you know, I won't get into, you know, all this stuff about athletes and shows and podcasts and all this stuff. And there's some great athletes that do some great shows and are very entertaining and engaging and all those things. But at the same time, I think there's also a lot of shows out there with athletes that are just kind of, you know, settling scores and settling grudges. And I think Dre will be one of those guys when he's full-time in the media. It's just going to be about being a flamethrower. You know, he's going to be the new Barkley. I could absolutely see him being the new Barkley. And one of these networks will, you know, sign him and give him a ton of money. Maybe NBC, because there's talk, you know, I've talked about with some people who would definitely know that in this next NBA deal, Turner is going to give up one of its nights. and that NBC/Peacock may jump in with the Peacock streaming network and their platform, and you might wind up seeing Peacock get back into the NBA. Cue up the John Tesh music. Da, 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 da. Come on. Kendrick Perkins? Why? You don't think Kendrick is good? You don't like Perk? Yeah, there's plenty of room. The thing is, there's so many outlets and so many spaces. There's plenty of room for all these guys to play in the sandbox. It's not a situation where Perk will be out of a job. There's plenty of places to put these guys. It has been forever, and it doesn't stop networks from signing more of these guys. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I'm seeing at this point. They'd rather put former players in these analyst roles. And frankly, in a lot of instances, you should have players in these analyst roles. I'd rather hear their take. I'd rather hear the take of a former player than Stephen A. Smith, who the closest he's come to a basketball court is sniffing jocks in the locker room. I'd much rather hear the perspective of a former player than that clown. We're back with more of the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Yes, I did just say Stephen A. Smith is a jock sniffer. Yep, I did. I will not feel bad about it. Yeah, I don't know why. Coming up in 15 minutes, my conversation with Nick Ferguson, former NFL safety. All right, so we got Warriors down 4, 10:30 to go, fourth quarter in Sacramento. You knew it was going to be close, didn't you? You knew it was going to be close. Yeah, oh yeah. They got down like 12, 13. Yeah, oh, absolutely. But you knew this thing was going to wind up close. The Warriors aren't going to go down without a fight. It's like your favorite villain at the end of the movie. But they just, again, that basket going to count? They just cannot stop. I mean, the Kings are just getting so many open looks. Okay, that ball was in the air when the foul occurred. So is that call? Wow, that's a bad call. Jeez Louise. I mean, Curry pulled such a flop. All right, basket counts. Sacramento up 85-79, 10:06 to go in the fourth. And again, I'll say it again, the Warrior season comes down to this last 10 minutes here. Unless you're delusional and think they can win 4 of the next 5 against a team that has been as good as Sacramento has been all season. Oh, wow. Curry just shot up an air ball. Oh, boy. Texts coming in on the text line, 888-670-8549. 888-670-8549 from David in Austin, Texas, listening on 104.9 The Horn. Said, I heard somewhere that LeBron James will probably retire after he plays 1 year with his son. That's absolutely true. LeBron's going to hang around to play with Bronny. And then that'll be it. And I don't doubt that it'll happen. I mean, he's going to play with Bronny. Is there anything you've seen out of LeBron that tells you he's hanging it up in a year or two? Now, you can get old really fast in sports. I mean, we've seen more than enough examples of athletes that, all of a sudden look great, and within a couple of years, it's over. Think of Adrian Peterson. It felt like Peterson was at the top of the sport as a running back. And I get running back is a position where you deteriorate rather quickly and the shelf life is short. But AP was one of the top running backs, and then all of a sudden you turn around, he was a shell of what he was. But I think one of the most fascinating stories, NBA off seasons tend to be and yeah, you get some free agency stuff with guys looking for max deals and moving around and trade requests and all that. I think the Warriors will be one of the most fascinating watches of this upcoming NBA offseason if this thing ends for them in a first-round exit. I think it'll be fascinating. Sabonis gets hit with a charge for running over Draymond. It's a good defensive stand there by Draymond. Oh, dear God, don't get me started. There isn't anything good of you asking me that question as somebody. Now, I don't know if you know, but I did sports radio in San Francisco. So I did 2 stints. I did two different tours of duty for sports radio in San Francisco. One when the Warriors were not on 95.7 The Game. And then I did another tour of duty when they were on 95.7 The Game as their flagship. And that is the softest, and I'm not just talking about Warrior fans. I'm talking about San Francisco Bay Area sports fans in general. That is the softest, I mean marshmallowy soft fan base that you will ever see. They are the wine and cheese fan base. They cannot handle anybody criticizing their teams. They will not criticize their own guys. Everything's great. Everything's fine. Barry Bonds never used steroids. Liberace was straight as an arrow. I mean, it's just the delusion in that fan base is hilarious. And I'll go a step further. You see all these rowdy, raucous crowds at Chase Center. You used to see them in Oakland when they played out there at Oracle Arena in the other side of the bay, in the East Bay. And I've been there and I've seen games there. It's pretty cool. That fan base in San Francisco will disappear faster than you could ever imagine once this team becomes a consistent, 40-win team. They will not pay those crazy ticket prices at Chase Arena. They will bail so fast. Go ask the San Francisco Giants, who play now, I think it's called Oracle Park. It was AT&T Park, Pac Bell before that. For years, the Giants were sellout after sellout after sellout. As soon as the Giants weren't good anymore, that place is empty. There's more pigeons and seagulls sitting in the stands than there are fans by the time you get to the seventh inning of some of those games. Cold summer night in the Bay Area. Oh, boy, something just happened. Uh-oh. Dre just got tossed for stepping on Domantas Sabonis, I think. Oh, boy. That was ugly. I was just looking out of the side of my eye, and I caught it, but I think Dre just kicked Domantas Sabonis. And he didn't even have to. He's not even waiting for the result. He knows he's about to get tossed, I think. Let's see this. Sabonis goes down. Oh, Dre stepped right on his chest. Did you just see that, Charles? Oh, Jesus. Oh, you can't do that, man. What is going on? I mean, he did a WWE stomp on the guy's chest. What is happening? And then he's yelling at somebody on the Warriors bench. It's over for Draymond Green. Let's just get that out there right now. It is over for Draymond Green. And it's over for the Warriors because he just played his last game. He probably played his last game of the series. He's at least played his last game for a couple of games. Yeah, and Dre's saying he held my foot. But I'm not saying he didn't hold his foot, but he ain't got to go stomp on a guy's chest. Watch this. He puts his foot down. Oh, good Lord. That is a bad look, man. I mean, he kind of held his foot. It didn't look like he had a tight grip on it. Oh, boy. And now they got to get Draymond Green off the court. He's sitting there egging on the fans like this is some WWE, cage match. And all it takes is one stupid fan to throw something on the floor and you've got chaos. This is what I mean. And now he's jawing with people in the stands. This has got to stop. This has got to stop. And you got fans that are going to get out of control. Oh, my God. Get him off the floor, Steve Kerr. Get him off the floor. What are you doing? And Steve Kerr's not doing anything. It's just so... This is why Draymond Green has acted this way for his entire career. It's why he punched Jordan Poole in the face. The guy is a punk with a capital P. That's it. It's what he's been his whole career. He's a punk. Get him off the court. If you're Steve Kerr, just send him back to the locker room. What are you keeping him out there for? Do you want something to happen? It just blows my mind. It really blows my mind. And we've seen it for years from this organization. You could argue he cost them the NBA title against the Cavaliers with his kick in that series. Now you got him stepping on some guy's chest. He's still out there. He's still out there. He's still yelling at somebody. Nick Ferguson's going to join us coming up on the other side. Talk some NFL with him. Although I got to be honest, I'm almost tempted to not run the replay of the interview just to stay here and watch how the rest of this Warriors game plays out and talk about it with all of you. And he's talking to the camera. I'll tell you now that it just reeks of selfishness as well. So technical foul. Yeah, that's going to be it for Dre. Gotta imagine that's it. And even if you did want to say that Sabonis was holding his foot, if you're Dre, you're never going to get the benefit of the doubt in these situations because of the way you've behaved your entire career. I still haven't seen. Did they throw him out or not? Yeah, I think he's gone. And Dre's arguing with the official now. Dre's arguing with the official about it, but that's going to be it for Draymond Green. Yep, he's gone. He's going to run off the floor. See if it fires up the Warriors, though. This could be the seminal moment of the season for this team. And Curry's got this wry smile on his face. We're going to stay here. We'll come back on the other side. I was going to run the Nick Ferguson interview. We'll stay here with you through the end of Warriors and Kings. We're coming back. More of the Cash In on SportsMap Radio.
Play, but what we see is Sabonis grabs, and we call that a physical talk.
if they're down 0-2 and win the series, I will give away to one lucky listener my autographed Patrick Ewing basketball. You heard me right. One lucky listener will win my Patrick Ewing basketball. We'll figure out a way to give it away. But see? And now all of a sudden you're like, wait, don't do it. Well, first of all, they're going to be without Dre. I think they'll be without Dre next game. So now you're down 0-2 at home, no Draymond Green. Against a Kings team that is supremely confident. I mean, good luck. That's all I got to say about that. Good luck. That's what we're talking about here. And like I said, this is one of those moments where I would hate. Like, San Francisco is one of the few local markets I've always said that if I could spend the rest of my career in one local market, if I was ever going to do it, San Francisco would have been it. But this would be the one moment where I would not want to work on a flagship station for the Golden State Warriors. Because I'd have to go on the air tomorrow and call Draymond Green a punk. Because that's what he is. Anybody who does what this guy, not just this, it's the totality of actions that he's taken in his career. And I'd have to be able to go on the air and call him a punk tomorrow on the flagship station of the Golden State Warriors. And I'd be fired. They practically ran me out of town for saying Stephen Curry wasn't a top 5 all-time point guard. No, really, this happened. This actually happened. I actually went on the air hosting a show in middays and said, I think Curry's great. I think he's this. I don't think he's an all-time top 5 point guard or top 5 guard. And literally the phone lines lit up at the radio station. And management pulled me into the office. Some, mid-level assistant program director who's 12 years old pulls me into his office and says, you can't say that about Stephen Curry. You're in the Bay Area. You can't say that. Oh, why? Well, it's my opinion. It's subjective. There is nothing that definitively says he is top 5 all-time point guard. He's one of the best shooters ever. I'll buy that. Wow, Warriors get hit with a shot clock violation now. Out of a timeout, you get a shot clock violation. How does that happen? There we go. 4 minutes to go in the fourth. Can Sacramento close the deal? We're going to find out here in relatively short order. 101.95, they just get a lay-in bucket at the rim. And now with no Dre in there, no enforcer at the rim, Looney's dealing with foul trouble. Is Looney back in there? Yeah, he is. Looney's back in. Clay hits a 3, make it 101.98. Feels like Clay hasn't done anything in the second half. I don't have the number. Yeah, he's got 15 in the game. 3 of 7 from 3. I mean, it's desperation mode right now if you're the Warriors. There has to be a sense of desperation. And I hate to say it, as much as I think he's a punk, this is where you really miss Draymond Green's energy and intensity and all that stuff. I mean, who's going to help you get stops on the defensive end with no Dre? Warriors get called for a foul here. Steve Kerr's got the befuddled look of what? Who? Us? But make no mistake about it. Where the Warriors are right now with Draymond Green and, the antics. And again, in a huge game, in a huge moment in the postseason, once again, Draymond Green has pulled this crap that has put his team's season and his team's chances in this game at risk. There's no getting around it. And this has happened over and over again throughout the guy's career. And at some point, somebody's got to stand up and say, this is the fault of the organization. This is the fault of the organization for allowing this to happen. Oh, back-to-back threes for Clay. Warriors within 1, 3 minutes to go. I told you they weren't going to go quietly. But again, I just question whether they can get enough stops. They just cannot get stops. That's all there is to it. I mean, the Kings basically just drove to the basket unabated and picked up their own rebound and were able to score. It's just, it's just a matter, can the Warriors make enough shots here? 'Cause they're not going to get stops. I've given up on that idea. Can they get off enough? Can they make enough shots? Curry misses another three. He threw up an air ball earlier. And every time off of a Warriors miss, off every Warriors miss, oh, there it is. Off a Warriors miss, the Kings are running down the other way and they're scoring. Is that Floyd Mayweather sitting next to the owner? I couldn't tell if that was Floyd or not. Kings lead 107-101. They just hit a three, under 2 to go. Foul called against the Kings here. So that'll stop the clock. Man, oh man. What a wild basketball game. I'll tell you, I don't know if it'll go 5, 6, 7, whatever it goes. Every game of this series right now is going to be must-watch TV. And here's the shame of it. You ready? Here's the shame of it, Charles. Most people won't see any of the games in this series. Think about it. Every game's in California. They're all late games. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible that the most entertaining, other than Cleveland and the Knicks, which I think is going to be a fun series. Lakers, Memphis, probably to a degree as well. And who knows? You never know what's going to happen in any of these series. But Game 3, Sacramento, Golden State, 10 p.m. Eastern start on Thursday. Sunday, Sacramento, Golden State. All right, that's a 3:30 p.m. Eastern. So Game 4 of the series in Golden State on ABC, people will be able to see it. But I mean, that's pretty much what you're getting here over the next few days. You're just not going to get a lot of. You're not going to see a lot of this series, unfortunately. Golden State, Sacramento, Game 5. Time to be determined. So they only have the schedule out through 4 games. So Sacramento up 107-101, 152 to go in the 4th in Sacramento. Will they be lighting the beam once again? Or will the Warriors have one last gasp in this game to try and get the series even at 1 game apiece? We'll keep you posted as we continue to go. Oh, they're calling so they called a foul on Domantas Sabonis. And I guess they're reviewing it. Is that what they're doing, Charles? They're reviewing it? Oh, they called the charge on Steph? Wow. Yeah, here this whole restricted area thing sometimes can be so stupid. I mean, you're talking millimeters of, was his foot on the line? Was his foot not on the line? And Sabonis is shaking his head because they probably just told him, yeah, your foot was on the line. So this is going to wind up being a defensive foul rather than an offensive foul. But we'll see. All right, we'll come back. Let you know what's going on in the conclusion of this Kings-Warriors game. Biggest game of the night. We'll also tell you what's going on in hockey tonight. The cash-in continues on SportsMap Radio. Yep, I called it on Sabonis. Ooh, Minnesota-Dallas overtime. Overtime hockey in the NHL postseason is the greatest. Wow, Jamie Foxx has been in the hospital for a week? Do you know that? Is that what it was? A stroke? Wow, I didn't know that. What are you playing? You're testing music? Oh, okay, that's fine. I just didn't know what it was. Woo! 3-ball, corner pocket. Game over. Oh, it's all over. It is all over. All over.
Kings take the air out of the ball with Monk. 1 minute to play, fourth quarter. Monk drives. Couldn't finish it. Rebounded by Thompson with 52 seconds left.
Oh, yeah, shoot a three.
Looney trying to give it up. Curry spins and fires. It's
Fair ball.
ahead for Barnes. The Kings will
Oh,
come.
that's awesome.
The celebration is underway with 30 seconds to go.
That is awesome.
They have waited so long for moments like this.
Oh, the game went way under 230 and a half.
Thompson fires and connects for three. 12 point lead on the clock. We're going to head over to the scores table to see if that was indeed a three-pointer. On the clock. 112-106. Kings. Beautiful pass, middle pick and roll. Sabonis felt the pressure. Davion Mitchell ready to let it go. And once again, handling the pressure, the run that Golden State puts on you. This young Sacramento Kings team able to respond
Yep.
once again in the fourth quarter. Zach Sarver waiting on
Be curious to hear some of the post game out of this.
before this game can resume. That was the shot in question, whether or not the two.
Well, it's going to be interesting to hear the post game that comes out of Sacramento tonight from the Warriors. And then tomorrow, what takes place with, as far as Draymond Green is concerned. The league's going to have to take immediate action on that. But that's it. Oh, and they even went and took some liberties and took the extra 2 points at the end. Boy. It is all over in Sacramento. The Kings beat the Warriors 114-106. And I'm not going to lie to you. I take joy in this. Draymond Green makes this team absolutely as unlikable as any team in basketball. Well, that's one guy, Jay. Why are you taking it out on the whole team? Because they allow it. Because they've stood by and watched it. They've fostered the environment for it to occur. That's why. That's why. It's a team sport. It's not one guy. Boy, it's I tell you, Warriors are in a world of trouble right now. Warriors are in a world of trouble with the way this thing ended tonight. With Green being injured, with Green being tossed, the flagrant 2, I mean, my God, it felt like Curry didn't make a shot in the final quarter of this game. I don't know what he finished with. And statistics aren't going to tell the story. I mean, look, somebody's going to look at it and say the shooting numbers and all that stuff, but it was more than that. I mean, he looked like he was taking desperation heaves for most of the game. He finished with 28, but he was 9 of 21 and 3 of 13 from 3. The Warriors as a team tonight, 13 of 40 from 3. And they held the Kings to less than their season average in terms of points, and they still lost by 8. And Sacramento didn't shoot it well from 3. They were 9 of 38. But it's going to be interesting to see how the league reacts to what happened tonight with Draymond Green. It's going to be a not so fun. What do they have? They have 3 days off now in between games, if I'm not mistaken. Is that what I said? In this series, I didn't have the whole schedule in front of me again, but I think the next game, they just lit the beam, which I think is a great, very cool new tradition that they've started there. Thursday night will be game 3 in the Bay Area. Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern on TNT. So, I mean, look, you want to try and make an argument for the Warriors, knock yourself out. You can hit me up on the text line, 888-670-8549, 888-670-8549 if you want to hit me up there. Yeah, I know I got the over wrong. I get it. Already giving me crap on the text line. I deserve it. Jerry in Louisville, Texas, hit me up. Jerry in Louisville, Texas said, "How about the over?" Yeah, it didn't go that way tonight. But I'll be fascinated to see what the post-game reaction is to what took place tonight, where you've basically got Draymond Green stepping on the stomach, chest of Domantas Sabonis, getting thrown out of the game. And you just almost sensed, I mean, that kind of was the last gasp for the Warriors in this game. I mean, literally. He took the air out of Sabonis stepping on his chest, and he may have taken the rest of the air out of the Warrior season with that stomp. Here's the question, Charles. If you're the NBA, what do you do to Draymond Green? Game? 2 games? What do you do? Well, I don't think it's going to be I mean, look, he stayed in the game. I just think it's the act itself. Let's assume he's okay. That's hedging. Do you think they give him 1? Do you think they give him 2? We're in the opinion business here. Let's go. All right. I think you're right. I don't think they'll give him more than 1, which by the way, I think they should give him 2. But I don't think they're going to give him. I don't think they're going to give him more than 1. Yeah, I would tend to think you're right. I think it's going to be 1 game. But I'll be fascinated to see what the post-game reaction is, what the Warriors say, if they continue to just coddle Draymond and just, oh no. Yeah, they've always taken the approach, not our kid. Oh no, it's not our son. Your son threw a rock at another kid, not my Draymond. No. What he was doing at the end? Egging on the fans? I don't again, all of this stuff, it should be viewed, not through just a peephole, but through the larger picture. And in that context, yeah. If I'm the league and I'm looking at, I'm saying, how does this represent our sport? How is this representing our league? How do you just continue to let this happen? And again, I just made the statement. It's just funny that this happened. Not funny, haha, funny, interesting that this happened tonight, because what was I just saying? about an hour ago. What was I saying on the show? That we're nearing the point of a fan interaction with a player where something really bad's going to happen. And I mean worse than what we saw at the Malice in the Palace. That we're getting to that point. And then you see this tonight where Dre is out there basically daring the fans to take a shot at him. He's daring them. And Steve Kerr's just standing there watching it happen. And I'm sorry, some of this has to fall on his lap. It has to fall on the organization's lap. Joe Lacob, the whole organization has to take a look in the mirror. And here's the thing. They're going to get rid of him after this season, and they'll use this as some of the rationale for it. But the reality is, they're to blame for it getting to this point. So doing it now, when the guy's on the back, forget the back nine of his career, he's on the final few holes of his career. Doing it now isn't making a statement because you let it go too long anyway. We're going to be done in 3 minutes, but if you guys want to hit me up on the text line, feel free, 888-670-8549. I'll check them out during the night. We'll read them on the show tomorrow. 888-670-8549. Robin Lundberg on the show tomorrow. I'll be fascinated to get his take on this. NBA Insider, SI.com. Does great work over there. Go and check him out. He'll join us on the program tomorrow. We'll get all his thoughts. I'm trying to get Stan Van Gundy on the show for Wednesday. The former NBA head coach, now TNT analyst, good friend of mine. Trying to get him on for Wednesday to do some NBA talk. And he's been very outspoken on the Warriors' lack of professionalism. There was a game that took place just a few weeks ago, and he called it flat out. It was just unprofessional. So I'll be interested to hear what Stan has to say. Hopefully we'll get him on the show on Wednesday, get his take on what happened here tonight and get us ready for the games on Thursday. So we'll see what happens there. NHL, before we leave you tonight, what's going on in the NHL? We've got an overtime game in the postseason in hockey, which is always great. 17 minutes to go in OT, the first OT. Minnesota and Dallas tied at 2, of interest to our audience on 97.1. The Freak. Their late third period, Kings trail the Oilers. Oh, Kings have just tied it to end the... Wow. Kings just tied it to end regulation, 3-3. So you got 2 overtime games on the opening night of the NHL postseason. This is one of the greatest times of the year. You got baseball season starting. You got the NBA playoffs. You got the draft in a week and a half. Just sit back and enjoy the ride, folks. It's going to be a lot of fun. Only one game left in baseball still going on. I'm shocked there's a game going on this late. Mets lead the Dodgers going to the bottom of the ninth. Mets up 8-6. That's the only game still going on in baseball. It's going to do it for us tonight. Hey, Charles, it was fun working with you. Let's do it again sometime. Absolutely. Charles Carter, producing and engineering the show tonight. We are back with you tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. SportsMap Radio, the SportsMap Radio app. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'm Jason Page. Thanks for listening to SportsMap Radio. Bye! Hey, man, nice job tonight. Had fun. We'll do it again. All right. Have a good night. Bye. All right. It does it for us on the video side as well. I got to go watch the post game on TNT and see what they're saying about the craziness that is Draymond Green. Everybody have a great night. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow. More NBA talk, more NBA playoff conversation. I'm Jason. Thanks for watching. Bye.